Thank you. This is Coventry's News Relay. I am Kurt Menny.
And I'm Agata Slowinska, and this year's theme is on climate change.
That's right, Aggie. And coming up, we have a piece about HS2 and the implications it has on the people and environment as well.
And one of our reporters has been looking at Gen Z activists in Birmingham and has witnessed their efforts to protect our planet firsthand with strike action that was held in February 2020. In another story, Coventry University is concerned about the environment and is now having an annual Green Week.
Last but not least, we cover an unusual story here in Coventry, a funeral in the city centre held for all of the trees that have been chopped down to make way for new renovations.
In 2010, the British government proposed the construction of a new high-speed train line that would build the infrastructure and link 21 destinations in the UK. The government and the HS2 Limited acknowledge that the route can't be delivered without extreme harm to the natural environment, but have pledged no net loss for wildlife, a policy aiming to prevent an offset for damage caused by human activity.
On Tuesday, 4th February 2020, representatives from the Wildlife Trust presented a letter to the Prime Minister, signed by over 66,000 supporters, asking him to stop and rethink HS2. Despite this, on the 11th of February, the Prime Minister announced that after careful consideration, the decision has been taken to proceed with HS2. Leanne Kate reports.
The controversy over the planned high-speed rail link HS2 has been headlining in the UK for a decade now. The Oakervie review of HS2 in December 2019 concluded that the high-speed rail link could help deliver the government's commitment to bring greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. On the 15th of February, HS2 Limited revised their existing environmental policy. HS2 told us, "We updated HS2's environmental policy to more clearly communicate our environmental objectives. We haven't changed any of our commitments to our environmental protection." As HS2 is a major development, the Wildlife Trust has commissioned the first comprehensive assessment of the risks to environmental damage. We spoke with Wildlife Trust CEO Ed Green about the report.
HS2 will result in considerable loss of wildlife, and it will permanently structurally alter the natural environment in England. It's going to establish a barrier for most species who rely on ecological connectivity from one side of the line to the other. Where HS2 say that they're going to produce no net loss, there are various ways of measuring that. HS2 has been given permission to come up with its own system, and lo and behold, in its own system that it chooses to use, it comes out with a net loss. The easiest way of explaining how HS2's process is flawed is that it doesn't take into account ancient woodland. And because you can't replace it, it's discounted from the metric they use to measure the impact on the environment. For HS2 to say that it's going to have no net loss on the environment is quite frankly absurd.
What do residents in Warwickshire feel about the environmental impact on where they live?
Obviously, I would rather that they certainly didn't bring down ancient trees, and I would imagine that some species will thrive, some species may never recover along that route. We should be looking at what we're going to be providing for the younger generation.
I think first of all, HS2 Limited are very, very clear about the environmental impact and therefore the mitigations that they can put in place. And if anyone takes the time to read their reports that are on their website.
I mean, the railway system we have now has been in use for at least 100 years. Anything else we build today, it's likely to last a similar amount of time. So, the damage is perfectly acceptable in my view. And I think they have done a lot to mitigate it, because it's been rerouted and into tunnels, into cuttings.
After 10 years of fighting it and going to Parliament and petitioning and, oh, goodness knows what, endless meetings, the bluebells in spring, you can feel that you're in an ancient woodland. You can feel that you're in a place that's so old and so mature, and it's going.
Should I look upon it as saying, oh, okay, it's bringing jobs to the area and it's improving the economy, and I get that we need to update our railways. I just wish that they'd come out of Westminster Village and have a look what it's doing to the local environment and how it's affecting the wildlife.
What is clear, and supported by both sides of the argument, is that HS2 will have an impact on the UK's environment. With population growth and government commitment to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, expanding the railways can be one option in keeping commuters and freight off the roads to reduce carbon emissions. Whether or not HS2 is deemed the right answer will continue to be debated.
Thank you, Leanne. It's certainly a debate that will continue right up until the project is either complete or scrapped.
That's right, Aggie. And even after the project, we will still see discussions held over the value of the project and whether HS2 will reap more benefits than the controversy it has already attracted.
Certainly one to keep an eye out for. And now for the next story, our reporter Antonia Trevini has been on the scene of the protest of Generation Z environmental activists in Birmingham.
The group celebrated a year of activism with their first 2020 strike. Dozens gathered to join them in the streets of Birmingham city centre to listen to their cause. Now to Antonia for more.
What do we want? Climate action! When do we want it? Now! Hello, Birmingham!
They call them Generation Z, but they don't like the idea of being the last generation on Earth. That's why Birmingham Youth Strike for Climate have been fighting for climate justice for over a year now. The group celebrated a year of activism with their first 2020 strike. In dozens gathered to join them in the streets of Birmingham city centre, regardless of the cold, and to listen their voices.
Recently, people have believed that fickle promises of a climate future where our planet isn't being poisoned will shut us up. Will it shut us up, guys? Yeah! People from all ages, all creeds, here to show that we're not just going to sit back and watch our planet be destroyed. We're here, we're living here, and we're going to tell all of the little big old giants in HSBC that we will not be moved.
Since the group started to be active in Birmingham, they reached the support of over 4,000 people. Thanks to their continuing presence in the streets, Birmingham was one of the first councils to declare the climate emergency and to set sustainable goals like reducing gas emission and becoming zero carbon by 2030. But it is not enough. Activists say there is still a long way to go to reach climate justice, and that's the reason why it is so important to keep fighting. But it is not always easy to make people understand.
I'm fighting for my future because at the end of the day it's going to be my future that's affected, and if I can do anything to stop that from being destroyed, then I will.
If you want to see change, you've got to go out there and do it yourself, because everybody can sit at home on the buns and they can grumble and they can moan.
People, adults especially, don't give us a voice, but when we do want to be heard, and that's why we're here today.
So many other people saying we're the ones who are going to save the planet, that are so proud and happy for us. Yeah, well, we're trying our best, we're doing what we can, but you know what? Why don't they get up and actually help us?
So I know it's easy to feel like giving up. If you believe in this cause, then you 100% have to stand up for it, because even if we only make the world a little bit better for future generations, we're still making it better, and therefore we need to carry on what we're doing today.
Like, we don't even know each other. When we just unite over our love of our planet is amazing. Just to see people care is amazing.
For the first time in a long time, it gives people the motivation to get out of bed, to get something done, to make ourselves heard and do anything we can.
Being active is the only way to reach a better future. Generation Z strongly believe that anybody can make a change. We just have to stand up for it.
Anyone can be an activist. If you feel passionate about a subject and you do something about it, you are an activist. Think of something like start a petition or go to one of our strikes and that's an activist. You're fighting for a cause that you believe truly about.
Why are we here? Hope. There's still a chance to change, but we need it now. That hope's on a clock, and it's ticking away.
Thank you, Antonia. We are seeing more and more groups who are actively battling climate change. Some of the most impacting voices, such as Greta Thunberg, who has given a number of rousing speeches questioning the efforts of senior figures, while there are others like Boyan Slat, who has quietly gone about his business to cleanse the ocean off of plastic pollutants.
You're absolutely right, and the amount of activism we are seeing on a regular basis is the proof of everyone can do something to help protect the planet from climate change and global warming. In fact, people are listening and watching, and the message is actually being heard.
And now, we move on to another group of activists in Coventry.
In December 2019, a bizarre protest was held in the form of a tree funeral in Coventry due to the cutting down of trees in the city centre to make way for construction work.
It has been a real problem, and even trees behind the studio where we are sat right now have been demolished to make way for new university buildings.
This hasn't been without protest though. We send out Angela Crocker and team to find out more.
For over 50 years these trees grew here, absorbing carbon dioxide. Their leaves trapped fine particles from the air, from exhaust fumes and construction work.
Last December, a group of historic Coventry city centre trees were cut down to make way for new renovations. A group of environmentalists showed their dismay by holding a tree funeral.
Hi guys, I'm Angela and today I'm in the streets of Coventry talking to students about what they think about all the trees going missing and climate change.
Well, I've noticed that quite a few of the trees have been replaced past the EC building, and I know that this is going to be replaced with like a small park or something, so I think that's kind of good in a way.
Yeah, I haven't taken notice of very many trees missing, so I actually hadn't noticed that. But yeah, I know this is going to be a green space, so I think that's, in the end, it should be okay.
I think Coventry is a developing city at the moment. There's a lot of new buildings popping up, a lot of green spaces are being taken away. I do think the City Council aren't really on top of managing what green areas are kept. We do have several parks throughout the city though. In the future would just be to remember its importance, to pressure the council to stay on top of managing some green spaces, especially in the very city centre. We are losing a lot of green area.
There's quite clearly a problem globally over the loss of trees in our ecosystems and how that affects our carbon footprint. But in Coventry in particular, it's extremely prevalent because we are in a big city, City of Culture 2021, so it's the aims of making Coventry a busier city.
The students really have a lot to say about the trees going for new renovations. I can't believe the impact it has on our lives.
Yes, it's really impressive watching young people concentrated about the environment and getting involved in projects such as the Green Week.
Talking about Green Week, this is a week-long initiative held at Coventry University each year that promotes a healthy lifestyle and environmental balance.
We sent reporter Annalisa Romano to find out more about what is in store for the Green Week.
The Green Week was already a project that we had before. When I took over the sustainability office, I wanted to make sure that it is more developed and updated this year. And then we had a lot more activities for students, a lot more engagement, and I think it was a better version of the Green Week this year. So I'm very happy for that. I hope everyone enjoyed it and really appreciated what we were doing here to raise awareness about sustainability. What the university thinks about sustainability and make it as an important, as important as education, I would say. So we have some projects coming soon. We have the Global Sustainability Summit, which is a very beautiful event that I would love.
Talk to me about these events.
I would love students to book their places. So it happens on 21st of March from 10 to 4. We have a lot of great speakers coming, the free food and a lot of entertainment during the event, which is really good. A team of beautiful, amazing people got this together, including myself, and I'm very proud to represent this to Coventry students. It's a one event that's gonna have years and years of development, so it's first of a lot of them.
Okay, so this one is going to be the first one.
Yeah.
So definitely we should join it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna join it.
I'm gonna join it.
Well, this is all we have time for today. We hope that you have found this year's programme from Coventry University to be very informative.
If you wish to follow any more updates from Coventry University, you can do so on Twitter handle @MAGlobalJourno or on our Instagram @GlobalJournoCov.
Thank you very much for watching, and from myself and Kurt here at Coventry University, it's goodbye from us.
Soon after the studio recording, COVID-19 hit the world and we all went into lockdown. Here's Alexandra Botta for more.
In terms of studies, we're only having online classes now. But when it comes to coursework, as I'm doing mechanical engineering, we use a lot of the workshop for our coursework. So with the university closing, we are now moving it more online. For instance, I'm making designs on CATIA, which is a computer-aided design software, instead of making them in the workshop so that we can still give in reports. So we have half of it that we can do and half of it that we can't. So they've changed the marking.
I'm studying biomedical science, and obviously that is a huge lab-based course, but since face-to-face teaching has been suspended, there's no way for us to practice. Right now I have 2 exams left, one for each module, and then I have 2 other pieces of coursework which can be done at home. At the moment, our module leaders have not told us what's going to happen. They might have to be set online.
Thank you and goodbye. Stay safe, everybody.